One of my favorite moments, whether I'm on stage or in the audience, is the beginning of a performance in a theatrical, in a theater, because it doesn't work so well outside. When all the lights go down and it's comfortable, you're warm if it's cold outside, cool if it's hot outside, seated, generally feel very safe. There's a predictability about something yet to come and an anticipation about what that might be. And that moment when we are just a bunch of people in an audience chattering about, to the hush of the lights going down and a collective pause and silence as maybe the music begins, maybe the lights begin, maybe there's a rustling of performers' feet. That moment of rich, dark anticipation is this moon for us. So the Cancer gives us the womb-like feeling. So I would ask you to take a moment and settle and go inside with your consciousness. Just a moment, like a breath in and a breath out, just to feel this moment now. And there's somewhere inside of that, there's the little edge of soft anticipation of the next moment, realization of settling into this moment. That's what this is all about. Maybe it's because there's some really exciting next chapter. The performance might be really dynamic. It might be slow. We don't, each of us is going obviously to have our own creative expression of the next 2 weeks. It seems to me that the importance of this little window of 5-7 days is to soften into everything that is, everything that has been, and everything that will be. Simple. No problem. But this is the moment here of relaxing into the unknown. Hello and welcome, or welcome back. I am your host, Ann Headley, and this is my podcast, What is Going On Anyway?, where I take some time every 2 weeks to check in on the moon, whether it's new or full, and I share what's coming up for me as an intuitive and as an artist. I use my imagination and my intuition together to tell a story, to share what's going on by surfing the present moment. Sometimes I call it channeling. Most recently, I've been calling it a hybrid of channeling and imagination. And I'm wondering over using imagination as a good way to brainstorm for the future. I hope this inspires you to look for your own waves of presence, to look for your own imaginings around the future, dreams of falling in love with your own future. And ultimately, I hope this becomes an internal revolution that I believe is necessary to usher us into the future collaboration of being here together. I'm always especially interested in my own and others' experiences of spirituality, of self-inquiry, and the question, what are we here for? And what is the meaning of life? I think I want to begin by sharing the feeling that I have around this time when I ask into the great unknown, what is this new moon about? How can we be given some sort of information that's helpful or validating? I don't even know. Sometimes I will find myself drawn to talking to people, asking them if they want to hear something that's coming up for me as an intuitive. I really try to ask these days. I used to just interrupt people and say, you know what I think? You know what's coming to me right now? Really kind of irritating and annoying way of being with people. when I get some pushy insight coming my way, I really these days try to ask. I'm saying that because I'm afraid that some of you are going to be like, you don't ask, Anne. You just go. But I'm more aware than I ever have been about asking for consent, because these kinds of intuitive hits are really, can be problematic. People don't want sometimes my intuitive hits. It's a creepy way of being underhanded, kind of like if you have a really sarcastic sense of humor, it is also kind of an underhand way of being honest. And it comes out through humor. I think maybe my intuitive hits are a creepy way of being honest. And also, I want to offer respect back to this unknown intuitive force that we all deal with. Why do we know things when there's not a particular way of knowing them? Sometimes it happens for me with objects. I'll be with someone and they have an object near them, and I'll say something that occurs to me like, oh, that looks like a merry-go-round, when it's just a stone or something like that. And then I'll find out later, this is not a real example, so this isn't, I don't want to out anybody with my real examples. And so that person might say, oh, I found this near this amusement park or something. And this happens enough for me that it is something I can rely on in myself, that I'm picking up feelings about objects that you might not be able to know just by looking at the object. And it's not just objects, it's just like the field around a person sometimes seems obvious to me that there's more going on than you can take at first glance. Maybe it's just information for me. A lot of times it feels important to share and to validate a nebulous world around a person that might not feel as real as the other world. And when I get the information to share validation about that nebulous world around someone, often it's just about recognizing that we are also just as important in our field of the unknown, the unmanifest, the imaginal, just as important as everything that we can see, taste, touch, smell, hear. Did I get them all? But also, I don't really know why I get insight or a view into that world. I'm not really sure what it's about. At any rate, these days, I try to say, hey, I'm having some insight here, or some kind of information is becoming very apparent in this moment. Would you like to hear about it? I'm absolutely fine to just let it breeze by, as if it's just like floating down the river and we do not have to pick it up. And some people, thank the Lord, just say, that's okay. And I am able to let it go more easily than I ever have been in my life. I used to feel kind of an urgency about it. Like if I didn't respond to every little tidbit that came my way, I would be, what do you call it? Like banished from the world of insight and intuition. And that actually isn't true. Having discernment about when it comes and when it doesn't come is, it's just a facility with the instrument that makes it more and more refined. So if we think about intuition being something that we can use like a tool and an instrument, the more we're able to know how it turns on and off. I don't think of it like that. I'm thinking about it more like a musical instrument. The more we learn the specificities of how the flow moves through us and makes a particular vibration, that's more what it feels like to me. And it can feel really wonderful to be in relationship with another person, and the instrument is sort of flowing. Um, and more understanding comes through me. It's not clearly not generated in me. It is an understanding that comes through me, kind of like putting puzzle pieces together. And I'll have one puzzle piece and I'm looking at it like I'm trying to make the whole, like say that it's a landscape with a barn. And I'll have a puzzle piece that's just the piece of grass in front of the barn, and I have no idea what's going on. But if I have 5 or 6 puzzle pieces, I can start to see the picture behind the singular puzzle piece. And that is really a pleasure. It's really a pleasure. It's like seeing through into another world, and it feels soft and inviting. And yeah, there's just a lot of enthusiasm for the feeling I get in me of rightness. Like, oh, well, that makes sense. Really recently, this happened to me. And just taking a second to think how I share this thoughtfully. This person has these beloved objects, like all of us do, don't we? Most of us have beloved objects. And it became so clear to me that these objects were meant for, I would say, magical purposes, and that these objects were meant to be used every day to not map out the day exactly, but sort of like that. And so we started talking about it, and it became also enthusiastic for this person. There was a real sense of, oh, that makes absolute sense. And when that happens, then the flow keeps coming often. And I could see the picture behind it was sort of like using these beloved objects as like a steering control board. And I don't know, I'm kind of trying to incorporate this thought and this idea for myself. How does this, it always applies to me. It always comes through because the information is coming through me. It always resonates with me too. And I suppose if we're all working as intuitives, we're not all for each other. We're not the right vessel for each other all the time, as we know. But when it works, it is beautiful music that we can make together. So I'm kind of wondering if this new moon is about that space as we relax into ourselves and just take a moment to feel good no matter what's going on. And that's such a revolutionary act, isn't it? Allowing ourselves to feel good, to feel the wholeness, to feel grounded and relaxed, to breathe softly no matter what is going on. This is not a way of pushing the realities of the world away. It is not bypassing. This is sitting in our bodies at any given moment with a full realization of the shitstorm that may be going on around us, and also choosing to feel good. And maybe good isn't the right word, to feel well enough to feel the presence of the moment. It is quite an act of resistance, actually. So imagine we get some other wild headline and we sit and enjoy our own presence for a moment. Becoming in some ways unaffected by the dramas, big and small, in our lives. That's what this new moon is about. Maybe just a small moment in time where we feel our own wellness. Even inside, I have, I don't know what I would call it exactly. I get migraines all the time. I don't know if it's enough to call it chronic, but I don't go a month without a few migraines. And I live pretty happily with that. I mean, I would love them to go away completely, but I have learned how to be friends with my migraines. And I have an autoimmune disease, alopecia. And inside of that, I can feel my wellness. I can feel my wholeness, despite whatever it is that's disordered in my physicality or my environment that may be causing my body to behave in this way. I mean, I don't know why we get sick. I don't know why these things happen, but I do know absolutely for sure. And I love this kind of rebelliousness in I want to call it like our soul, that we can feel good no matter what is happening. And I don't mean this in any kind of a judgy way, because sometimes we feel bad, and that is fine and right and good. But I'm talking about a deep sense of our occupancy, no matter what, that's deeper than the content. It's deeper than the way we feel about it. It's like sliding your feet into your shoes before you have a sense of how how your shoes are rubbing on your feet. It's just, here I am. Here I am. Wow. Sometimes it takes thinking how great it must be to be a soul without a body, and then how fun it might be to have a body, a new, fresh body. That sense of, ooh, what are we going to do with this? The same feeling of sitting with great anticipation for a performance about to happen. And so sometimes I wonder what it's like for us to be able to sit a little bit more deeply into our being and watch our lives unfolding a little bit more as if it's a wonderful performance about to happen. And without saying that as a technique for dissociation, but as a technique for understanding we are so multitudinous. I don't know that. I don't know if that's a word, but we're able to be both the dance and the dancer, the witness and the performer, all at the same time. I do think that is something about the magic of this new moon, whatever it is that may be just around the corner for us. We'll have to find out later. Maybe we'll be able to see it as we get towards the full moon. So what I really would like to do now is just turn, as we do, to the I Ching and see what wisdom, what can we know about this new moon that helps us understand more, that gives us a little bit of insight and wisdom for these next 2 weeks. So, dear Oracle, I Ching, what would you have us know? We get hexagram 59, dispersing. It is as if a great thaw brought the floods, and everything solid were swept away. All the walls, whether they divided, contained, or sheltered, are gone. The familiar landscapes have vanished down the river, and there's a clear view for miles over free-flowing waters. Perhaps this liberates the vital energy of the situation. Perhaps it is utterly disorienting. Definitions, dividing lines, agreements, bonds, established patterns of life and thought, all these can be dispersed, their solidity revealed as an illusion. All that holds things together now is the constancy of the flow itself. And one of the things to note, this is from a different book called Total I Ching. They're saying when you get 59, you need to think about 59 and 60 together as a pair. 59 is dispersing, while 60 is articulating the crossing, meaning finding the right time to make a move, basically cross the river. You cannot continually scatter the radiance. Articulating the crossings is using the energy of the dispersal. So we're in dispersal right now, knowing that it disperses and gathers back to give you the knowledge, energy, and wherewithal to make your next crossing. The pair involves you in an overall model of thought and action elaborated in the interconnected lines of the figures, a self-sacrifice that dissolves obstacles. The self-sacrifice part is letting go of what you think you know about yourself, letting yourself become wider, letting your boundaries shift. That this dissolving is dissolving obstacles in between the spirit and the human world. And that reveals key moments where you can articulate and act on the river of time. It embodies a site of radical transformation where the ghost river, which is the river of the past, flows through the opened heart and is articulated. Carefully consider your place in and relation to this model. So if you think about that, a lot of times that ghost river, we can have regrets and hard feelings about how things went. But if we look at the ghost river with dissolution, without our ideas of right and wrong, good and bad, but we look at that as the river of time in the past, and then it moves through your opened heart without judgment, and it allows you to see kind of like the complexity of your energetics, the complexity of all it is that makes you the kind of wonderful, incredibly unique in the universe configuration of matters and energies. And, there's nothing like you. You are a fantastic, multifaceted gemstone. And it's a wonder to behold. It's a wonder to behold you. And that letting the dispersal happen right now lets you kind of be like, well, I don't really know who I'm for or what I'm for. And that dispersal kind of rearranges who you think you are, not completely, not in a ego-shattering way, but just enough that as the energies merge back through the center of your heart, you have a way of focusing. Sort of like right now, my garden is like a weedy mess. And so if I let go of right and wrong in the garden, as the energy comes back into me, I can focus it to the place that I want to, that I feel most allured to working in the garden, which might be the irises. It might be reworking or moving or shifting or changing, but I'm talking about a real garden, of course, but I'm trying to allude to the fact that we all have these energetic gardens around us. And sometimes things get set aside for a long period of time. And a moment like this is to sort of take a big exhale and let whatever it is that we were laboring towards, let that go for a second. And then it's scary, right? It's kind of like a big exhale, not knowing if it's going to come back around again. And then whatever it is that does find its way back to you helps you direct that next step forward in your creative, generative, artistic lives. We're all artists just trying to solve problems creatively. Okay. The whole hexagram, it does have a changing line. So the changing line is 5. This is a time of such intensity that the ruler's words must be charged with power, as if her own essence were dispersed and flowed out through them like sweat. This is unknown territory. The only way to learn is to act. And so even the ruler's residence, the fixed point at the center of it all, will be dispersed. Close by are the granaries, which the ruler could open to the people in times of great crisis or transition. To respond adequately now requires that you disperse whatever central reserves you might still be holding on to. You can put it all into circulation. That may feel like giving up everything that offered you some chance of control, security, or stability, and yet it is not a mistake. It demonstrates commitment and real strength. I often go back to this, but this is making me think about all the things that, like the stacks of books. I have stacks of children's books I cannot keep forever, and letting them go back into circulation. All of the things that are ready to move on, that are taking up space in my life that I've talked about for years. I'm always having like a pile of giveaway that needs to go. Maybe this is the moment to let that go with some clarity, knowing that things, material objects moving back into circulation one way or another, demonstrates, what is it? Commitment and real strength. And that's what I'm looking towards, this releasing, so that I can ground and come back and focus back into my dreams and creative projects. And in the humorous way the I Ching can be, all of this moves to hexagram 4, which is not knowing. What don't you know? What if you didn't need to know all the answers now? How can you learn from experience? I think we can be often waylaid by this idea of needing to know. And so getting hexagram 4 is the very beginning of the I Ching oracle. So we've got 1 creative, 2 receptive, 3 is sprouting or beginning, and 4 is not knowing. And this is where we're landing at the end of the wondering over this particular time now with the new moon. We are letting ourselves sort of be dissolved into the fire of our own being, to be kind of dispersed. I like to think of it as a sparkling glitter storm, knowing that we have a magnetic attraction to our own lives, and that dispersion gives us an opportunity for some things to go out where they need to be and other things to return kind of refreshed from their bondage. Kind of like letting the material forms that are kind of solid around us, letting them have a moment of great dispersal so that some things can go where they need to be, other things return to us as it should be. So this all moves to the not knowing, which brings us back around into quite a deeply creative process of the beginning, sort of like the seed being planted, held by the nurturing earth. That's 1, 2. 3 is the very beginning of germination. And the 4 is that place where it has not yet. What is it to hold space for something growing and we don't know what it is? We can't name it. We do not yet have those boundaries and the harder, faster rules about what a thing is. We're in an exciting and unknown time. And so it is. I want to draw one of the cards that I love from the Sonia Choquette deck. The answer is simple. I just want to land us there. So the card that we get, well, whoopsie, we got many cards. They all kind of fell out, and I'm going to read them like a sentence. Lend a hand, give more, get over yourself, and have fun. I think this is beautiful, drawing us right into solstice time. It's the beginning of looking at the beginning of the middle of the end. It's the beginning of looking at, we need to take a little quick moment and remember back to January, when we started to have our wishing time. And what did we wish for? And how has it gone so far? We're halfway through. It might have completely transformed into a different, really like even a different wish than it was at winter solstice. And so I think there's this bit of lend a hand, give more. That's the dispersal. That's where the I Ching was saying we've got stores that we think keep us safe, but it is for the greater good to let those be dispersed, let things become circulated. It's not a time to hoard things. So lend a hand, give more means you can use your energy to support others. You can give more of your resources out into the greater or the local community. And then get over yourself. I always get back around to that place of like, what do I even know about my hopes and dreams? Most of my dreams were based in just wanting to be safe. And once I get beyond that, what do I dream of? I'm still learning about that. If I'm safe inside myself, are my dreams a little bit different? And I'm talking about like those childhood dreams of like getting married and creating a family were really a lot about making sure that I was safe and secure. So if I am safe and secure, how do those dreams change? What are the dreams for me if I can provide that for myself? And don't forget, have fun. Have fun, have fun, have fun, have fun, have fun, have fun. Laugh and play. It is summer, guys, folks, people. It's summer. So welcome to summer solstice, which I think is pretty fabulous and just a teensy little bit scary because winter's coming. But let's enjoy it while we've got it. Thank you so much for being here. You can always reach out to me at my website, www.annheadley.com. You can find me on Substack. I'm not going to go look it up right now. It's linked here in the show notes if you want. I think it's like Substack/Ann Headley, or is it Substack/Waterman Studios? I better start getting that straight, right? Look in the show notes. I'll have it right there. Thank you for being here. May you be well. May you be well. May you be well. May you feel the wellspring of your being inside of you. May you know peace. May all beings everywhere, whether known to me or us or unknown, may they be well. May they know the wellspring inside of them. And may they know peace. Bye for now.